Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And in today's video, we're actually going to be we're going to continue to use MAST, and we're actually going to be using her with ARIA today, because obviously this is another character who probably was like doing MAST's job before MAST dropped. She was kind of like, now I guess she's a hand-me-down version of MAST, right? But ARIA is actually doing the same thing as MAST, probably even better somewhat in terms of the crit damage, right? Because hers goes to all allies. It's not as big as MAST's a crit damage buff, of course, but she is giving a crit damage buff to all allies. At level 5 skills, increases it by 19.49% for 10 seconds, and then when the last bullet hits, she does give all allies crit rate. So that's kind of what we're going here, the double crit buffing team. And then we already know what MAST does here. Gives crit rate to 2 allies with the highest attack and herself. Same thing as the crit damage on her burst skill and her first skill. But on the first skill when her HP is below 70%, which you get from either taking damage or using her burst skill. So this is really the team we're going with here, right? These two, well, it's not those two, right? We're gonna have Modernia actually as our damage character, right? So we're gonna have Modernia here as the main damage dealer to kind of just see how well it is. So we're gonna actually do a showcase of these two with Modernia, and we're actually gonna take them off. We're gonna do a full run of shooting range. I'm gonna completely leave it on auto up to the AI, right? Just so that it's like both auto, same playing field and stuff like that. Full auto, one with obviously MAST and ARIA with all the crit damage buffs and stuff like that. I'll pause it and show the damage here and there and the buffs. And then obviously one without MAST and ARIA, right? Because we're never gonna know how big the difference is if we don't see how they are, or how well Modernia is hitting without, you know, these characters. I could have put Guillotine on the team. I think that's more of a character that people want to see now, because obviously she's like the best partner for MAST. But you can see right now, because we're in a full burst, so we have a big crit damage buff, right? We have the crit damage buff from so this is from MAST. This is from MAST's burst skill. This is from MAST's first skill. I believe this crit damage buff is actually stacking, but it's from Modernia. It is that stacking, but it's from Modernia. Pirate Sights from obviously what's her name? MAST, and then the crit damage buff. So she's critting, like her crit damage is insanely high right now. You can kind of see that's a lot of crit damage, right? And I say it works well with Modernia because she literally stacks crit damage, right? 14%. That stacks up to 5 times. So literally a team like this, Modernia is gonna be hitting hard, right? Because she's getting a massive crit damage buff from, again, now boom. Again, we're here fully stacked up. You can see 18 million already. Crit damage from, this is her, so 5 stacks from Modernia herself. 29% attack is from obviously Privity. The 56% is from Litter, and then this crit damage is from Litter second, because it's the second time we enter the full burst. So this more crit damage actually from Litter. I didn't even remember or consider that, but that's more crit damage. Like, she's getting a lot of crit damage with this team, a lot of attack. No, this is from Privity right here, the 20.92. There's a lot of attack and crit damage, right? And like literally a lot of attack and crit damage going on here. So you can see Modernia's hitting like a truck. You can see she's critting for, I mean, she was critting for 32k there. Obviously, Master skills last for 7 seconds, which is not really something too crazy. I wish it lasts for 10 seconds. Like, I think it should be the full burst skill. There's really no harm in that. Maybe it would be too broken, but it's really just a buff, right? It's nothing like game changing. But you can see if we look at Modernia now she's just hitting all enemies and she's just doing damage, right? So it's very, very good. But obviously after the 7 seconds of a full burst, it just goes down, right? But you can see she's 40 million. Okay. Right, it's very, very good. Oh my god, I'm not gonna lie, this team is doing wonders with the crit damage, right? It's actually doing so much. Because remember, we get the crit rate buff from ARIA after, because obviously MAST has the crit rate buff, but it's only for the first 30 seconds. And then we look 45 million Modernia. Holy smokes. Okay, let's do that again, but literally take off MAST and ARIA this time. to see. So 45 million, that's big. We're gonna see. I'm gonna actually put in somebody like Dollar and Rupee, right? So these are just raw attack buffers, right? Rather than crit damage buffers, right? So these are two people who are actually going to buff up Modernia's attack rather than the crit damage and stuff like that, right? But no, that ARIA MAST comp is very, very nutty. If you guys watch my video on characters that would work best with MAST, I said ARIA was gonna be like the next, you know, best supporter, crit supporter on your team, because it's just a lot of crit damage going in, especially with Modernia, who stacks up crit damage, right? But you know, this should be fine. We just need to wait for Rupee to fully stack. So you could see it by the full. Wait, how much stacks is she at? She's at 4 stacks. So when she gets her last stack, then we're gonna start getting an attack buff from the next full burst. But you could already see 4.4 million from Modernia. That's half of what, you know, she was at the first time we entered the full burst with MAST and ARIA. So it's a massive difference already. You could tell. Right, I don't know how close it's going to be. Remember, we hit 45 million with MAST and ARIA, so if we hit, you know, anything less than 45 million, you can see, right? I'm curious if it's going to be like a massive difference, right? Because Modernia herself is really just broken, right? But she crits a lot. That's the one thing. She's critting a lot, right? So right now she's at 22 million, right? Right, she might actually perform better, right? This way, she might actually perform better with not MAST, Dollar and Rupee. I'm curious, right? Because again, in this game, crit damage also isn't as effective. It's not that it's not effective. It's just like you just benefit more from attack buffs. But okay, let's take a look. So right now we're at 33 million, right? I want to say, like, if how do I word this? If we were just to get the crit damage buff, it wouldn't be like as effective, right? Because if you're not critting, right, the thing is with attack buffs, you're getting that for every hit. If you're not critting, then boom. We're still at the same number here though. We're around like the same number, which is 76, 77 million by the end of it. 70. I think we actually did more numbers here, but how much did Modernia do? She ended up doing 42. Now that's good. And that's a bit iffy, because this is how I see it, right? Crit damage buffs are crazy, and obviously with the other team we were getting a massive crit damage buff. That is correct. But the thing is, with crit damage and attack buffs, no matter if you crit or if you're just not critting, you're always getting your attack increased with an attack buff. If you do not crit, you're not getting any increased damage because it's a crit damage buff. So for her to do 45 million because she was critting, and not like guaranteed 1000%, but you know, her critting on and off compared to her having only an attack buff, is quite impressive, right? Obviously you can see that ARIA and MAST do quite well with Modernia, right? So I think okay, so wait, let's just double check. Maybe it was a fluke though. So 45 the first time, 42 the next time, the second time, and we're gonna go back in there again with MAST and ARIA again to see if it's still around that number or higher or less. All right, just to see 1000%. So let's put in these two again. Now we're gonna leave it fully on auto, but this time I'm not gonna click anything. I'm not gonna look like I'm not gonna press escape. We're just gonna go for the full shooting range until it's done. Then we'll look at the damage. So the first time, remember, 45 million. The second time, 42 with the attack buffs the entire time. I mean, you didn't have it the entire time, but like for every hit when we were having the attack buffs, it was counting, right? As if for crits, you can see Modernia crits a lot though, right? But for all those white numbers, those are not crits, right? So those orange numbers and like the dark red core hit numbers are crits, right? Or I guess the ones that have that little, you see that black and white like critical symbol beside the numbers, those are all crits, right? So you can see Modernia crits quite a lot, right? So it's not really an excuse to say, oh, you get an attack buff, it counts for every attack. Because she's not critting every single hit, but she's critting like 9 out of 10 of her hits, right? She's critting a lot, as you can see, right? So there's no question that what's it called? She crits a lot. I ain't gonna lie, right? But actually now we no longer have that. She's still critting, even without that massive crit rate buff from MAST. She's still critting quite well. Okay, let's just leave it fully. And let's see, so 45, 42, and this one I'm expecting to be, if it's less than 42, that means it's probably just a fluke the first time, right? Because the numbers are not always going to be 45 million, right? It could go up and down. We'll see. We're definitely doing more than the last one, right? No question. We're at 80 million something, right? But she crits a lot. Right now she's like kind of critting less, obviously, but she still crits a lot, especially within that first 30 seconds. She's gonna crit like crazy. So 43 million now. Okay, so ooh, Arya did 11 million, not bad. But 43 million, it was still more than the attack buff though, right? So both times with the crit damage was more than the attack buffs, right? If anything, we'll do it one more time just so we have like 2 and 2, but I think obviously this pairing is better than Dollar and Rupee, right? Now obviously MAST, ARIA, Dollar, and Rupee, they're all level 5 skills, so it's kind of like an even playing field here. Where is Dollar? Okay, where is Dollar? Where is Dollar? Oh, I wasn't even using things. So let me do it like this, actually. This time we're going to use Rupee's burst skill. I wasn't using her burst skill the first time. I just noticed that. Because they're both burst 2s, right? So let's use Rupee's burst skill this time for an additional attack buff, right? Yeah, I just noticed that. We were not getting an attack buff when we were using their Dollar's burst skill the first time. I just noticed that. But it's fine. But even with all the crit rate buffs, right, you can see she still crits quite a lot, right? Machine gun characters are just gonna crit a lot. They have too much bullets, and my Modernia has a cap, like a max cap of what, 864 bullets. She's gonna crit. I'm sorry, she's gonna crit. So I would highly recommend, if you're using Modernia, to run her with MAST and ARIA, or even just MAST, right? Because she, like I said, Modernia is gonna crit a lot, right? She's not like these other well, machine gun characters really just crit a lot, right? But Modernia is like, she's like critting a lot, right? So, but now when we're fully stacked up with Rupee, which we are, we'll get an additional 13% attack buff. So that's pretty good there. Remember, attack buff goes to all our damage, right? Crit, non-crits, everything combined. So whereas in crit damage only affects our critical hits, right? So those numbers, those white numbers and those regular core hits are all just being buffed with attacks, right? Like the attack buffs, while obviously when you're using the crit damage buffs, those white numbers and those regular core hit numbers are not being buffed up whatsoever. They're just raw numbers, and somehow they're still hitting less even with more of an attack buff. I think they might hit less. No, now we might hit the same amount here. Yeah, because Modernia just skyrockets. There we go. Now we hit more, actually, because Modernia just went crazy. She popped off at the end there. So we were at 45, then 42, then 43, and now with an additional attack buff, we're at 44. 45, 43, 44, 42. 40. It's kind of like balances out, right? So you can go any way, but I'm glad that you can see, even with the crit damage buffs, it's not like, you know, a big drop, right? It could be more, could be less. Well, this one we had more of an attack buff, right? The first time we didn't have an attack buff, so this is probably what they're really going to be hitting. But yeah, you can see it works quite well, right? I'm glad that you can use MAST or you can use ARIA, but I think if you were to use MAST alone compared to Dollar alone, you would benefit way more from having just MAST alone, right? Because she's getting like a, I think at level 10 skills, it's like a 75% damage, or crit damage buff, right? All Dollar's giving is like a 12%. At level 5, I think it's like a 12% attack buff every other 5 seconds. So there's that. But you guys let me know what you think is better. Do you think, well, I think attack buffs are better in general, right? But would you prefer running Dollar for Modernia alone? I know Dollar's affecting the entire team, right? And MAST is only affecting literally the 2 attackers, right? But would you prefer using Dollar now or MAST now that you've kind of seen how both of them go, right? But I think the ARIA MAST comp is a great comp. If you want to try that comp, it's good. And I think it's cool, right? Because you don't use ARIA. People don't use ARIA like that. So obviously MAST and ARIA running at the same time is quite good. Actually, you know what I want to do, bro? I want to test one more thing. I want to test MAST by herself. So we could put like Noir, and then I want to try MAST by herself and see how much Modernia hits. And then I want to try Dala by herself and see how much Modernia hits, and then we'll end off the video there. So this is not going to count like the first 4 matches that we've done, right? This is more like now a MAST versus Dala, right? I'm curious, right? But yeah, she crits too much, right? But of course, her crit rates increase even more within the first 30 seconds. So, like, if her literally, I think if MAST's second skill was like longer than 30 seconds, and it was the entire game, it would be too much. It would actually just be so broken. For Modernia specifically, and even like Guillotine, my bad, Scarlet, and all these other characters, right? I think it would be very good for those types of characters, honestly. So you guys definitely let me know what you think. I don't know what number that is. Got a phone call. Okay, I don't know. Let me see though. We'll see. So we'll wait the 40 seconds, then we'll try Dala alone, and we'll see. But you could see without ARIA, it's a massive drop, of course. ARIA is giving, again, a big crit damage buff as well, right? So it's the only thing. And I do think, obviously, Modernia does benefit from these crit buffer supports because she stacks crit damage, right? So the more crit damage you can give to Modernia, the better, I think, especially since she stacks crit damage. And especially if you're running her with MAST, right? You might want to give her, you know, some crit damage. Stuff like that. I don't know really, but oh, even without ARIA, she's still hitting. I mean, now we have Noir on the team, right? So that's a completely different story, right? But let's see. So boom, we're attacking, and okay, so close to our best damage. Okay, 52 million. Okay. So that's just, I guess that's what, like, I don't know what happened there. 52 million. What? There's no way Noir is doing all that though. Her attack buff is like, it's the entire game though. Okay, now we're gonna try with just Dala, and then we'll end off the video here. Where is Dala?
It should be crystal clear who gets what.
Now, I don't know here, because the thing is, Dala's attack buff goes up like every other 5 seconds, basically, after the first time it procs. And then MAST gives like the crit damage stuff when you're using her burst skill, when you're basically in a full burst. So essentially, Dala is going to be more efficient for what she's doing, because that's on and off a full burst, realistically. But, like, we'll see. We'll see. 52 million from Modernia beforehand. Now we have the Noir buff as well. So we're going to really see what's going on here. Alright. Let's see. I do think MAST is going to be better, though, in general. For most DPS, besides, like, clearly, like, Alice, right? I do think MAST is going to be a better Burst 2 option for DPS, right? Like, DPS support, I mean. I think she will be a better Burst 2 option than Dala. Just because Dala's is, you know, it's still an attack buff at the end of the day, and it is not, I'm not gonna like discredit Dala. She's good, don't get me wrong. But I feel like because like in this situation where Modernia stacks crit damage, right, I think someone who's increasing her crit rate by big numbers, making it that, you know, because again, the attack buffs go into every single hit, the crits and the non-crits, where the crit damage only goes into the critical hits. Right, so it looks like we're going to be hitting the same amount here, right? At least like the damage total should be around the same amount, right? It might be actually more. 10 seconds, yeah, it might be a bit more. Oh, I think it might be more. Okay, so we got a new record with Dala on the team. So 52 million beforehand. Now this is not like my actual test damage record, but 52 million beforehand without MAST, and now with Dala 48 million, so 4 million down, right? Obviously, so yeah, I think MAST is just a better option in general, but you guys definitely let me know what you think. I think MAST and ARIA is a very good comp. I think Dala is still very good as well, but if you ask me, when it comes to running Modernia specifically, or even Scarlet, right? I think honestly MAST is going to be the better option for that burst 2 DPS support. But you guys let me know what you think, right? There's still more testing to be done, but MAST is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I still stay with my tier right now for her being in, you know, high A to low S. Before I was saying mid-high A, but I think I'd say high A now that I've done a bit more testing. I'd say like I'm confident with high A or low S because she's performing quite well. But there's again still more testing to be done. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. It's a longer video. This is like first time I've done like a 20-minute showcase video, to be honest. But you guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Zxous. I'm out. Peace.